Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, Wooden Railway Adventures, Episode 169, The Importance of Being Billy. "Do you know what?" asked Billy one morning. "What?" grunted Gordon. "Do you know what?" he restated. "What is he mumbling about?" asked Paxton. "Don't give him much thought," said Derek. "He does this when he's about to complain about something." "It's about time that I got an important job," continued Billy. "I'm tired of pulling the random trains that nobody else wants to pull. I deserve something special. I want a branch line." "Huh," laughed Gordon. "And what makes you so deserving of a branch line? You don't know the slightest thing about coaches." "But I do," protested Billy. "I pulled the railway inspector around a few months ago, and I passed with flying colors." "I think the railway inspector was more preoccupied with something else that day," said Paxton. "Like inspecting the railway," agreed Gordon. "Still," continued Billy, "I can handle the big jobs. After all, I'm Billy, the pride of the railway." "More like pride of the coal depot," chuckled Derek. Gordon couldn't stop laughing. "Silly tank engines," he muttered. "When will you all learn that the important jobs are left to us tender engines? We are reliable, on time, and most importantly, really useful." Gordon puffed away to pull the express. Billy was still focused on getting a new job. "You know," said Paxton, "doing odd jobs around the island isn't such a bad thing. That means that Sir Topham Hatt thinks you're reliable, and no matter what the train, you'll get the job done correctly." But Billy wasn't convinced. "I deserve something better than zoo cars," he said crossly. "I've been on this island a long time, and I want an important job." "Hey, what's so wrong with the zoo cars?" asked Derek. "Sure, they smell bad, but I quite enjoy pulling them." Billy puffed away, and Paxton and Derek were left alone. "This won't turn out well," murmured Paxton. "Better get the breakdown train ready," chuckled Derek. Meanwhile, Billy was still riled up from Gordon's comments. "I can do anything that Gordon can," he said fearlessly, "except pull the express, because that's heavy, and goods trains. Those are heavy too. But I can spin around on the turntable like Gordon. Yes, look at me, just like Gordon." "Oh, what are those?" Some baggage cars were sitting on the platform at Knapford Station, and no engine was to be seen. "Looks like somebody needs to take that train," smiled Billy. "I can do that and prove to everyone that I'm just as important as the big engines." Billy ran over to the cars and immediately puffed away out of the station. Just then, Rosie pulled in with her passengers. Their luggage had been dropped off at the station by another engine before they arrived, but now the baggage cars were gone. "Where's our luggage?" demanded the passengers. "We can't go anywhere without our suitcases." "I'm sorry," said Rosie, "but I don't know what happened to them." The passengers were cross and began saying what a bad railway it was. At the sound of the first complaint, Sir Topham Hatt was out of his office trying to control the crowd. Nobody knew that Billy had taken the cars back to the airport. Jeremy was very surprised when he arrived. "No need to thank me," said Billy confidently. "Just doing my part to help the island of Sodor. Have a nice day, Jeremy." "What is that orange engine mumbling about?" asked Jeremy. "These baggage cars belong to Rosie's passengers, not back here at the airport where they just came from. This will cause confusion and delay for sure." Meanwhile, Billy was very proud of himself for supposedly helping the passengers. As he passed through Henry's tunnel, he nearly ran into a honey car sitting on the line. "What's this doing here?" asked Billy. "I should move it before somebody runs into it." "I wouldn't do that if I were you," cautioned Trevor. "The vicar will be back soon with more bees, and they'll be cross if you take their honey." Billy was determined to make things right, however. He tried pushing the car out of the way, but realized that honey was leaking onto the track, and that the wheels were stuck. "I'll have to give this car a big shove then," said Billy, and he backed up to the curve and gave it a huge bump. The honey car quickly became derailed and angry bees swarmed everywhere. "Well, at least it's out of the way. No need to thank me, Trevor," and Billy puffed away. "You silly engine!" cried Trevor. "What am I supposed to do with all of these angry bees?" Just then, Thomas raced down the track and collided with the car. The bees swarmed at him and chased him down the line. "Phew, that was a close call," said Billy. "Oh my goodness, what is wrong with Sodor today? Everybody is leaving important trains unattended in the strangest areas. Well, I suppose I'll have to move this one as well. Billy puffed up to the fish cars and pulled them out of the way. Just then, Salty and Arthur rolled in. "And here is me present, Arthur," said Salty happily. "I want to thank ye for your hard work at the docks these past few weeks. And so here's a train full of your favorite thing." Arthur looked curiously at the scrap cars behind Salty. Thanks," he said, "but those aren't my favorite things." "Of course it is," said Salty happily. "Every time I look at one of these cars, I'm immediately reminded of me good friend, Arthur." Arthur was appalled. "I remind you of Scrap?" he asked sadly. "Scrap? Of course not, me hearty," chuckled Salty. "What do those cars look like to you?" They look like scrap cars to me," said Arthur. Salty was confused. "You think those fish cars remind you of Scrap?" "Those aren't fish cars, Salty. Those are scrap cars." Salty looked behind him. "Oh, shiver me timbers!" he cried. "Where did me precious fish go? It was a present for ye, Arthur, but they've disappeared." Arthur was confused. "So you got me scrap cars instead?" he asked again. Salty attempted to explain the situation, but it was no use. Meanwhile, Billy was very satisfied with the day's work. "I've been extremely productive," he said to himself. "I delivered those baggage cars to the airport, I moved a honey car out of the way, and those fish cars were so smelly that I had to take them out of the docks. Now I can finally relax." Just then, Rosie and Salty arrived with Sir Topham Hatt. All three looked very cross. "Billy," shouted Sir Topham Hatt, "what have you done today?" "Quite a lot, sir," said Billy. "Would you like to hear about it?" "No, I would not," said Sir Topham Hatt crossly. "You stole luggage from Rosie's passengers, you misplaced Salty's gift to Arthur, and Thomas crashed into the honey you spilled near Trevor's field." "My passengers don't have any luggage," said Rosie. "And Arthur thinks that I want to scrap him," said Salty crossly. Billy realized he had made a big mistake. "I was just trying to be helpful," he said sadly. "I guess I really messed up today, sir, didn't I?" Sir Topham Hatt sighed. "Yes, you messed up today, Billy, but I do have to say I'm very pleased with your work ethic. You were all over the island trying to make it a better place, and that deserves praise. Just next time, make sure you ask another engine where they want their train to go. Is that understood?" "Oh, yes, sir, it is, sir," said Billy. He was feeling much better already. "Ah, bees, get off me!" cried Thomas as he raced down the line. The next day, Billy arrived at Knapford Station to see the big engines pull away with their trains. "I heard you were very busy yesterday," chuckled Gordon. "Do you still want that branch line you were talking about?" "No, thanks," said Billy. "Some other engine can have it." "What do you mean?" asked Gordon. "Who doesn't want their own branch line?" "I guess I don't. After yesterday's adventure, I can finally say that I've realized the vital importance of being Billy." And with that, Billy puffed out of Knapford Station, a wiser and smarter engine.